What is going on, guys? Evan here from Sports Corner, and I'm back with another video here on the channel. And today we got another episode of this 2050 sim, and we're starting in the 2038 offseason for today's video. We got a couple big names in free agency like Max Meredith, the tight end, and Dante Moore leaving the two-time defending champion Washington Commanders as they'll head to Detroit. That is a big move right there with Dante Moore leaving the Washington Commanders, who have won the last two Super Bowls in this sim. Crazy stuff. A couple other decent players as well, but the big news is Dante leaving the Commanders, who he's won a couple Super Bowls with. The star quarterback has been great. But yeah, he's the big name in this free agency class. And this draft, the number one player in this draft was this safety named Carl Browning, who looks really, really good out of college, out of TCU. And 94 speed is absurd. This guy is an absolute beast of a safety from the TCU Horned Frogs. And 6 foot, 195. This guy's got a lot of potential to be the next great safety in this franchise, man, in this league. You know, he's a great player. He's got a lot of potential, so see if he can revolutionize that Panthers secondary. And now we are in the 2038 playoffs, and out in the AFC, the Steelers and Cade Klubnik are the 1 seed, and usual faces like Arch Manning and the Jets are there as well. In the NFC, the Atlanta Falcons are the number 1 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles number 2 seed, the Lions are still there, a couple other teams, and the Commanders actually didn't make the playoffs without Dante Moore. The MVP of the league goes to Theo Irwin, man. He's been an absolute beast in the sim, and he continues to rack up great stats. Winning and coming in second MVP is Jonathan Harrison from the Eagles. And Coach of the Year, of course, goes to the Eagles. So it looks like the Eagles were kind of a surprise story this year. Offensive player goes to Andrew Stewart, running back for the Steelers. And Demarius Bigsby gets Defensive Player of the Year, so it makes sense why the Steelers had such a great season. Cole Kerr for the Falcons, Offensive Player of the Year, and Quandre Tucker, DPOY. And now looking at the Super Bowl matchup, it is the number 2 seeded Philadelphia Eagles and the 7 seeded Ravens, which is absolutely shocking. But this is even more shocking. The Eagles drafted a quarterback named Calvin McDermott in the first round, and he's been injured pretty much the whole year. Jonathan Harrison, the journeyman, throughout his whole career, you look at his stats, he's been a journeyman his whole career, and now in his 30s, having a chance to lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl. This is eerily similar to Nick Foles. We got a Nick Foles storyline here in the Super Bowl as they take on the 7 seed Ravens. We got a back and forth Super Bowl here, and we're going to hop in and watch this game as the Ravens are about to punt here on 4th down and inches. So we'll hop into the game, and we will watch and see what happens. So the Ravens are lining up to punt the ball right before the 2-minute warning. And now Jonathan Harrison has a chance to lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl for the first time since Nick Foles. The Eagles have not been good at all in this sim, and this is their big chance. Harrison dropping back on 1st down and 10, rolls to the right. He's taking off, and he's gonna get the 1st down and fight for more yards. He's got that Nick Foles spirit, but he's a lot more mobile than Foles was. But this is just a crazy story for Philadelphia as Harrison drops a bomb downfield, and it's caught for the 1st down and more. The Eagles are in field goal range. 3rd down and 1. Ravens have 1 timeout. Halfback stretch to the right side, and that's a 1st down for the Eagles. And now a Super Bowl ring is pretty much inevitable. 3rd down and 6. They can just run the ball out. They have a timeout to use. And all they need to do now is line this kick up, run this clock down. The Ravens have no timeouts, and this is going to be it. The Eagles are about to kick a field goal to win their first Super Bowl since 2017. The kick is up, and it is good. And the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. What a story, man. The journeyman Jonathan Harrison comes in. The Eagles drafted a franchise quarterback who didn't play, and the journeyman, as McDermott, is somehow in the Super Bowl celebration here despite not playing a snap in the bowl. But Jonathan Harrison is the story, a Nick Foles type of story for the Eagles once again to win their 2nd Super Bowl. Shout out to Jonathan Harrison for getting the job done and getting the Eagles their 2nd Super Bowl in their franchise history. Check out that stat line for Jonathan Harrison today. Almost 400 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. John Sullivan did well for the Ravens. But it was, at the end of the day, it was all on they ran the ball a lot as well, but it was on Jonathan Harrison. Mekhi Lemon had a big-time game for the Philadelphia Eagles to lead them to the Super Bowl. And there you have it, man. The 2038 season, the first of this episode, ends with Jonathan Harrison leading the Eagles to a Cinderella Super Bowl run. So here we are in the 2039 offseason. There's a couple decent players in this class. Jacoby Powell, superstar receiver, heading to Indy. A really nice 95 speed running back named Cecile Fitzsimmons heading to Tampa. Walter Pearson, a former X-Factor tight end. This young running back named Elijah Gates. And, there are a couple superstars, Devontae Mickens, and there is an X-Factor linebacker, Larry Bartow, late in his career signing with the Bengals. So a couple decent players, but, nothing crazy. This is the draft, and we're checking out the highest overall players, and there is this really, really good corner in this class named Jermaine Graham to the Titans, who is an absolute beast. 6'3" with 96 speed. This guy is going to be one of the best corners in the league, I predict. He looks amazing out of Nebraska. This guy is the highest overall player in the draft, and the physicals are off the charts. A couple other decent players in this class, like, Brian Yates and Demario Jeffers looks like a really nice defensive tackle. So here we are in the 2039 playoffs, and Arch Manning and the New York Jets are the number 1 seed out in the AFC. In the NFC, I believe it is Bryce Young, who is still playing, and the Tampa Bay Bucks in the 1 seed. And, a couple other teams out there, the Steelers and Cade Klubnik, and a couple teams like that. MVP of the league is a massive surprise. Trevor Lawrence goes back to the Jaguars. He's been on a couple teams in this sim, and he goes to the Jaguars and wins MVP at his very old age. I'm pretty sure he's in his late 30s at this point. He had a lot of help, though, from Devontae Bishop, the star wide receiver, winning Offensive Player of the Year. And the Defensive Player of the Year goes to James Towns of the Patriots. Out in the NFC, Offensive Player of the Year goes to Cole Kerr, the star wide receiver for the Falcons. And Defensive Player of the Year also goes to the Falcons and Pickard. Now here we are in the Super Bowl, and it is the Denver Broncos versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys won a Super Bowl earlier in this sim in a couple episodes ago, and the Broncos were in a Super Bowl, and they ended up losing. They still have the same quarterback that they did then, Calvin McClendon. Broncos leading here late in the game, and they have the ball at the 1-yard line. We're going to hop in here on 3rd down and goal. Can the Broncos put away the Super Bowl and win their first of the sim? We're about to find out. Calvin McClendon at quarterback. They lost a heartbreaking Super Bowl earlier in the sim. I think it was the Detroit Lions who knocked them off. Here's a 3rd down and goal for McClendon. Looking, throwing back at the end zone, and that is caught for the touchdown. And the Broncos take a 10-point lead here in the Super Bowl. So we're just going to sim. The rest of it is going to be a really hard comeback for the Cowboys, and I don't think they're going to be able to get it done this time. So we are going to just sim to the end and see if the Cowboys can make a comeback. They do score a touchdown, but it is too late, and the Denver Broncos, who for some reason still have Nathaniel Hackett as head coach, win the Super Bowl. And in what is the final season of the 2030 decade, the Denver Broncos are your champions. Calvin McClendon, the longtime quarterback, who I believe is in his late 30s as well, ends up winning the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP. So shout out to big Calvin McClendon. They suffered a big heartbreak many seasons ago, but they round out the 2030s with a dub. So they knock off the Cowboys and win the Super Bowl. What a year from the Broncos, the number 2 seed in that conference, making it happen. And we'll check out the final stats here. Brent Shepard, the Cowboys quarterback, threw 1 pick. McClendon threw none. Rushing, the Cowboys 99 overall running back Kevin Peck did not get the ball nearly enough, as he probably should have. And in the receiving game, the Cowboys did have a big game from Earl Farley, but the Broncos got the dub. Couple nice defensive plays with the Cowboys, got a couple sacks, but the Broncos got the big interception. And there you have it. The final season of the 2039 decade was a wild one. The Broncos win their first Super Bowl of the sim. Trevor Lawrence somehow wins MVP. And that's how the 2030s round out. The Cowboys could not get their second Super Bowl of the sim. McClendon is Super Bowl MVP. And we'll see what the future holds for the Broncos, but that is how the 2030s end in the sim. And now we are in the 2040 offseason. There are a couple big moves. Doug Williams, the X Factor running back heading to the Cincinnati Bengals, is big. But there's a big quarterback move to discuss here. As Cade Klubnik, who's been an MVP and one of the best quarterbacks in the league for the Pittsburgh Steelers this whole sim, at the age of 36, decides to move on from Pittsburgh and go to New England, which is interesting. But the biggest story this offseason is the draft, which was absolutely loaded, as we have our second generational of the sim, Evan Cummings, 6'3" wide receiver out of Arkansas. And this guy is a physical freak, an absolute generational talent, 84 overall out of the draft, with some insane physicals like 98 speed, 97 excel, 99 jumping, good catching stats. This guy is 100% generational, and the Giants have struggled a lot in this sim, haven't really done a whole lot, but they're going to have a chance to do something with Evan Cummings. He is an elite weapon to throw to, but he's not the only good player in this draft. Tremaine Bailey out of LSU is a really solid quarterback prospect. You also got other good players like Glenn Rainey, the running back out of Oregon State, who go into the Bears. Bunch of good players in this class, headlined by Cummings. Now we're in the 2040 playoffs, and as you can see, the Steelers somehow managed to get the 1 seed without Cade Klubnik. The Broncos looking to defend their title, and the Cowboys looking to avenge their loss last year. The Dolphins are another playoff team, as they're led once again by Theo Irwin, who is now a 3-time MVP in the sim. So he has become one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's a 3-time MVP for a reason. And the Dolphins will see if they can get a Super Bowl. That's kind of the last thing Irwin needs to complete his legacy. Cedric Cherry and the Baltimore Ravens, star receiver, winning Offensive Player of the Year. He's been great for that team. And Defensive Player of the Year goes to Demarius Bigsby, who is playing amazing for that Steelers defense, helping them get that 1 seed. Out in the NFC, the Cowboys offense is led by Kevin Peck, the star running back who helps them get that number 1 seed and trying to help them get back to the Super Bowl. The Defensive Player of the Year goes to George Sasha, the edge rusher. The Cowboys are stacked on both sides of the ball. However, they are knocked out by the eventual NFC champions, the New York Giants, with the unbelievable run they're having. 7-seeded Giants facing against the Ravens. The Ravens have lost a couple Super Bowls in this sim so far, and they're looking to hang on to one here. The Giants are down by 8, and they have the ball. We're going to hop in. Can the Ravens find a way to get over the mountain? They've already lost Super Bowls in this sim to the Cowboys and the Eagles earlier in this video. So can the Ravens avenge those losses and finally take down an NFC East team in the bowl, as Stewart will throw it downfield? And if you guys remember from just a few moments ago, Evan Cummings is on this team. However, he is not in this game. He is hurt. As a 4th down 6, Stewart able to complete the pass for the first down. The Giants are missing their superstar rookie. That is a big loss in this Super Bowl. They're going to need to come up clutch without him. Stewart on 1st down and 10. Only one timeout to play with. He throws it down, checks it down, and that is going to be a couple yards out of bounds smartly there by the Giants. So Stewart doesn't have that big 6'3" guy to throw to with the 98 speed. Makes things a lot more challenging. He's been injured the whole playoffs. Here's a big play from Stewart. He checks it down. That is a 1st down and a whole lot more. Past the 25, the Giants call their final timeout. Here they go. The Giants need to get in the end zone now. They'll throw up a jump ball that is incomplete into double coverage. And now this is it. The Giants only have a couple more plays. 11 seconds to go. Need to get out of bounds. Instead, they'll check it down and to the middle of the field. That is going to be stopped. And that is going to be the ball game. The Ravens have finally done it. They have finally climbed the mountain and have won the Lombardi Trophy. The 2040s could be the start of something special in Baltimore, as they finally win their first Super Bowl of this sim. And it has been an uphill battle for these Ravens. All these seasons of this sim, they've come so close so many times to winning that Super Bowl, have lost in heartbreaking fashion the other 2 appearances, but this time, this was their year. Their quarterback, John Sullivan, gets it done. Cedric Cherry and the rest of this team have fought for years, been a consistent playoff team and contender, and they finally get over the top, finally able to beat the Giants in the Super Bowl. John Sullivan put on a heck of a performance in the Super Bowl, and Danny Cunningham, Giants couldn't really do much without their star receivers. You look at the stats, no sign of Evan Cummings, which is a huge storyline in the Super Bowl, not having that star receiver. But either way, the Ravens are champions for the first time in this sim. John Sullivan wins Super Bowl MVP, and there you have it, man. The Ravens have been one of the more successful teams in this sim, but unfortunately they had not gotten the Super Bowl. But this time, they start the 2040s off with a bang. Now we're in the 2041 offseason, and there are a couple decent players like Jeff Griffey, the star running back, heading to Houston, a couple other decent players. But for the most part, this is a pretty bad free agency class. Not a lot of big names. Cade Klubnik is moving teams once again as he's on his final breath as an NFL quarterback. And yeah, this free agency class is pretty mid. Not a lot of good talent in this free agency class. A name that did stick out to me, though, was Caleb Williams, the Saints quarterback now, as Bryce Hall, an X-Factor tight end in this sim. But yeah, Caleb Williams at like age 38 still going. And this draft class was all about the top two quarterbacks, Sterling Whitman, the speedster, and Justin Bush. Both of these guys have a chance to make immediate impacts in the league, and the two franchise quarterbacks could be the faces of the league for many years to come. A lot of Texas defensive players in this class, like Larry House, really good corner. A couple other guys like Trevor Haynes and Kurt Carson, a lot of UT players in this class. Here we are in the 2041 playoffs, and on the AFC side, the number one seed is Arch Manning, who's still going strong, and the New York Jets, and a couple other teams out there. No Theo Irwin, the Dolphins, which is surprising. The Falcons are the one seed. The Cowboys are back in the playoffs. And it makes sense why the Falcons were the one seed, as Austin Henley wins MVP. Not a name we've seen in this sim yet, but this is a guy who's becoming a star in this league, and he leads the Falcons to the one seed. Andrew Stewart winning Offensive Player of the Year for the Steelers is not something new. Best running back in all of football. And Defensive Player of the Year in the AFC goes to Terrence Clement, beast of a DT. And then in the NFC, Cole Kerr teamed up with Austin Henley to have a dynamic duo out in Atlanta. And Defensive Player of the Year goes to Quentin James, the former number one overall pick, still killing the game in his late 30s. This dude is a beast. And now we're in the Super Bowl, and it is a matchup of the 5 seeds, the Buffalo Bills and the Dallas Cowboys. The Bills have not won a Super Bowl yet in the sim. I don't even think they've made one, and they're taking on the Cowboys. A historic rivalry in the Super Bowl from the 90s, and the Bills are absolutely whipping the Cowboys in this Super Bowl. The Bills are going to win their first Super Bowl of the sim. What an absolute shocker that it took them this long, but they finally do it. And the Cowboys fall for the second time in this video in the Super Bowl. So the Bills are the champions. They never won a Super Bowl with Josh Allen, which is surprising, but they have a new star quarterback in town, and he's able to finally get them over the top and win the Super Bowl. So shout out to him. We're about to see his name here in just a moment when they announce the Super Bowl MVP. He had a big game, and the Bills offense dominated the Cowboys in this Super Bowl. So let's check out the stats here for the Super Bowl. Brent Shepard, the star quarterback for Dallas, couldn't get it done, but Mark Hampton ends up winning more rings in Buffalo than Josh Allen. Josh Baggs had a big game, and Kevin Peck, the 99 overall running back, struggled in the Super Bowl, didn't do much. A couple decent receiver performances from Dallas, like star receiver Taj Lane had a big game, but Damian Carroll balled out for the Bills. And overall, the Bills are just the better team, and they win the Super Bowl, their first in franchise history. It took them until the 2040 decade, but the Bills are on top of the football world for the first time in their history. Taking down the Cowboys, the team then beat them multiple times. We're about to head into the 2042 season, but first we have the offseason, and the first player in the offseason that we got to talk about is Earl Lindsey, the star corner, heading to Baltimore. And the Houston Texans pick up a superstar safety in Joe Rowe. So the Texans have been making moves. Kyle Decker goes to the New England Patriots, a superstar quarterback. The Saints pick up a superstar safety. Bunch of superstars in this free agency class. Brian Yates, another young linebacker, going to Minnesota. Dante Moore, a name in this franchise, been one of the better quarterbacks in this whole franchise, ends up going to Seattle as he's trying to round out his career at age 38. And now we're on to the draft, and this draft is pretty solid. A couple decent players like Braylon Youngblood, beast of a corner out of LSU. Jerry Clinton going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow's been long gone at this point in the sim, so the Bengals get themselves a new franchise quarterback. Christian Springs, pretty good player. And a couple other guys, Maxwell Henrich, I think is his name, going to the Lions. But overall, pretty solid class, couple good players. Packers get a new quarterback. And now we're in the 2042 playoffs, and the Dolphins are right back in the playoffs as the number one seed. Theo Irwin has been dominant in the 2030s and 40s. The Steelers are back in the playoffs. The Bills are looking to repeat. We'll see if they're able to. The Cowboys are not able to get revenge. And the Vikings are the one seed out in the NFC. And once again, for the fourth time in this sim, Theo Irwin is MVP. If this man could just win a Super Bowl, he would go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Unfortunately, right now, he's on a Dan Marino arc with those Dolphins of being ringless. Cedric Cherry winning Offensive Player of the Year, not a surprise. And Demarius Bigsby has been a star for the Steelers for many, many years now. And in the NFC, Offensive Player of the Year, a shocker going to Evan Springer. Stringer, new name. And then Tevin Reynolds winning Defensive Player of the Year for those one-seeded Vikings. So the Vikings have a good well-rounded group out there, hence why they're the one seed. And they're in the Super Bowl. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Minnesota Vikings. The Steelers are led by the star running back Andrew Stewart. And The Vikings have a really, really good defense. However, in this Super Bowl, it was the Vikings offense that shined the brightest, and they are Super Bowl champions for the third time in this sim. If you guys remember, if you guys haven't been here, they won 2 Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes a while back, a couple episodes. I think it was the last episode. They won a couple Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes, and now they hoist the Lombardi for the third time in this sim. So the Vikings have been arguably the best team in this entire sim. What an amazing run that they've had in this sim. They've won 3 Super Bowls, and this Super Bowl, they were led by not Patrick Mahomes, but Shane Carden, who had a great Super Bowl. 4 touchdowns, no picks, nearly 400 yards. Andrew Stewart could not get it done on the big stage this time. And the receiving game, Jonathan Alexander stole the show with almost 200 yards. And Andrew Golston had in a couple touchdowns. And yeah, the Steelers just weren't able to get it done. They've lost a bunch of Super Bowls in this sim, but they've also, I think, won one. And the Vikings front 7 took over this game. Defensive Player of the Year, Tevin Reynolds, had a big game. And overall, the Vikings front 7 just dominated the Steelers' offensive line. Hence why they won the Super Bowl by over 20 points. And there you have it. The Vikings are your champions in the 2042 season. Shane Carden with Super Bowl MVP. And for the third time in this sim, the Vikings are Super Bowl champions. So now we are in the 2043 offseason, and in free agency, not really a lot of big names. There was a couple decent tight ends in this class, like Tyler Escobar, and there was a McCollum guy earlier as well. Then we got a good X-Factor running back, Ferguson, who's really good. But overall, not the best free agency class. I mean, at this point in the franchise, not a lot of great free agents. And the draft class was pretty similar, not the greatest. Jason Bryan, really solid receiver out of the draft. Jarek Hamlin, a good, strong safety. A couple defensive tackles and things like that. But really, nothing, no crazy players, no generational talents. Just a solid class. So we're going to head to the 2043 playoffs. And in the playoffs, will this finally be the year of Theo Irwin and the Miami Dolphins? The man has been one of the best quarterbacks in this franchise. He has won 4 MVPs, and he cannot get over the hump in the playoffs. A couple other teams out. The Minnesota Vikings, the defending champs, are looking to win back-to-back. A couple other teams there as well, like the Saints and Seahawks haven't been here too much. And Theo Irwin winning his 5th MVP of the sim. This man is the best quarterback in the league at this point, 98 overall. And he is just sweeping the awards right now. Him and his running back, Emmanuel Chamberlain, balled out. Alex Bingham winning Defensive Player of the Year. That's a new name. But, yeah, man, Theo Irwin has won 5 MVPs and has lost a Super Bowl and has just continuously choked in the playoffs. So we'll see if he can finally get over that hump and win the Super Bowl. We're going to see how the playoffs shake out here. And is the Vikings and the Dolphins. This has the potential to be one of the great Super Bowls in history. The Dolphins looking for their first ring with Theo Irwin, and the Vikings going back-to-back. The Dolphins are looking good right now, but late in the game, the Vikings have a chance to tie the game. They're at the Dolphins' 1-yard line. All they need is 1 yard to tie this Super Bowl up. And the Dolphins, who did lose the Super Bowl earlier in this sim to the Commanders, will they choke another one? Here it is, a handoff to the running back who breaks a tackle, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. And there you go. This game is tied. 3rd down and 10 for Theo Irwin. He throws the slant pass. It's dropped. And now it is going to be a Vikings ball. They're going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Shane Carden had a big Super Bowl performance last year as he gets the pass to midfield. The Vikings are driving down. They're so close to their 2nd Super Bowl in a row. A potential dynasty for Minnesota. Here's Carden, has the time. Now he's getting sacked. He's down. And that might end up doing it. The Dolphins are going to get the ball back with 17 seconds left. Irwin spins, throws. That's a dime out of bounds. And hold on, the Dolphins might have a chance. Their kicker has a big leg. They need to get to the 40. They're not too far off of that. Irwin dropping back, throwing downfield. It's intercepted. Theo Irwin throws the big interception, and that is it. We're going to go to overtime, and this has truly been a classic Super Bowl. Here's Theo Irwin, takes the snap on 3rd down and 4, rolls to the left side, pressure in his face, and he completes the throw. What's the spot going to be? It's going to be a 1st down for Miami. What a play by Theo Irwin. 1st down and 10, Irwin dropping back, slant pass open. That's going to be nearly a 1st down for the Dolphins. Irwin looking to drive down this field and give the Dolphins the lead. Remember, new overtime rules. You get a chance. The other team gets a chance. That's a 1st down for Theo Irwin and the Dolphins. Here's a 1st down and 10. Play action pass. Theo Irwin looking, throwing. That's his completion to his star. That is Barrow with the catch. The long-time X-Factor with a massive catch. Then the Dolphins are right there looking to score. Here's Theo Irwin. He hands off to his running back, who loses the ball, but it's recovered by the Dolphins. Oh man, that was dangerous. Here we go. Theo Irwin with a handoff to his running back, and that's a touchdown. The Dolphins take the lead. They are one stop away from becoming Super Bowl champions. Now remember, this is not the end of the game here. That's a great third down completion right there from Garden. Remember, this is not it. We are going to a second overtime here in this Super Bowl. If the Vikings score a touchdown, we play on. If not, the Dolphins are champions. Here's a 3rd down and 9. Carden looking around. Lots of pressure. He makes the throw. It's tackled short of the first down. And this is the ball game. 4th down and 3. Can the Dolphins do it? Pressure in Carden's face. He gets rid of it. It's a completion, and it's a 1st down. Somehow, someway, Shane Carden is an unbelievable quarterback in the postseason. There's a big screen pass. That's a 1st down and a whole lot more. And Shane Carden is an unbelievable quarterback. He has been clutching for the Vikings for the last 2 seasons. A toss to the outside, and that's a touchdown. What an improbable drive from the Vikings. It looked like they were done. Not yet, though. Here's Theo Irwin on 2nd down and 10. A field goal is all they need. Irwin spins left. Throws. It's intercepted. It's picked off by the Vikings. And the Vikings are inside the red zone. Then they might have just won their 2nd straight Super Bowl. A heartbreak for Theo Irwin. They're wasting no time. The field goal is good. And the Vikings, they've done it again. Back-to-back championships. And for the 4th time in this sim, the Minnesota Vikings are Super Bowl champions. And my goodness, the heartbreak in Miami. They came so close. Shane Carden made the improbable screen pass on that 4th down. He got hit late. It was a close play. And they really just lost. I feel bad for Theo Irwin. 5-time MVP with no rings and 2 heartbreaking Super Bowl losses where he threw back-breaking interceptions at the end. He's on the Dan Marino arc right now. An elite quarterback and a dominant passer of his time, but is not able to win the big one. For years, they've choked in the playoffs, and this might have been Theo Irwin's best chance. I'm just going to let you guys know that is going to wrap it up for this video. The next one should be a few more of the remaining seasons. I think we got like 6 or 7 more seasons to go. We'll get like 5 or 6 done in the next video, and we'll see if Theo Irwin can break through and finally win a Super Bowl. You guys will have to stick around and find out for the next episode. What a great Super Bowl to end this video off on, though, man. Bruce Barrow tried his hardest. The veteran couldn't get it done, and Theo Irwin, who's been an unbelievable quarterback in this sim, he's starting to hit his 30s, and his team still doesn't have a Super Bowl in the sim. So there you have it. The Vikings are your Super Bowl champions for the 4th time in this sim. The Vikings are champions, and a dynasty could be brewing over in Minnesota. Back-to-back champions. You guys will have to find out again. Stick around for next video to see if the Vikings can keep their dynasty going. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.